Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Buck Let's Play here today, and today we are doing a review of American Truck Simulator. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very excited for this game and have been for quite a long time. And it's been a really long time since we've seen an actual American Truck Simulator game. We've had a lot of European truck simulators, and we've had a few American truck games that just basically had scenarios. They weren't quite the same as the original series, 18 Wheels, Long Haul, and the American Long Haul, and all those games. But as you can see here, you can create a profile, and some of the pictures are pretty hilarious. You can actually pick between male and female characters. All the characters on the current list are male characters. You actually have to pick your gender up next to the gender icon. But as you can see, there are some pretty wacky looking characters, and some of them look pretty realistic. The only unfortunate thing is, for a preferred truck style, there's only a choice between Kenworth and Peterbilt. I chose Peterbilt, and then there are like 6 logos or so, not a whole bunch of logos. I'm assuming there will be more truck styles to start out with, maybe with DLCs. But hey, for $20, this game really has a lot of content, and it really has quite a bit to offer, and the map and everything is a lot different than what the original American Truck Simulator games were like. Of course, that's not what they were called. They were called 18 Wheels of Steel and American Long Haul. They've completely redone the game. Now, another great feature that I love about this game is you don't have to worry about setting up your controllers or your keyboard or your mouse. Of course, it'll walk you through whenever you do have to set up different things, but it's not a hassle to set up a controller. I personally like to use a controller when I'm playing games like this, and because of this, I was able to just click on the controller option, and then you can basically select the different buttons that you want to use from this menu. I actually didn't know exactly what buttons I needed to use at this point, so I actually modified that later on in the game. One thing I did find kind of annoying was the sensitivity for the steering is really sensitive. I have it turned really low, but it's still really sensitive. But I can turn it down some more, so most likely it will be okay. As you can see, the starting area that you are kind of forced to start with is the California-Nevada region. I'm not entirely sure if you get to travel the entire country as you unlock more areas, or if you just get to play per region. If that's the case, then that takes away a little bit of the expectations of the game, which I highly doubt it. But then again, as long as you can play different regions of the country, that's fantastic as well. But as you can see, there are a bunch of little cities besides just a whole collaboration of big cities in the previous games. There's a bunch of smaller cities outside of the bigger cities that you can play with. Of course, there is a tutorial at the beginning of the game. It is not really super in-depth, but it gives you the basics you need to know, and a lot of the things you're going to find in this are very similar to the old truck simulator games. Basically, you have your map in the lower right-hand corner, and you have your fuel, you have your speed, you have your cargo information, etc., etc. Whenever you start the game, unlike American Long Haul, this game is actually a lot more like the original 18 Wheels of Steel. You do not actually start out with your own trucking company. You are working for a boss. I was about to say you're your own truck driver, but no, you're not your own truck driver yet. You actually are driving a truck for your employer, and as you can see, very beautiful looking Kenworth. I think the graphics have greatly improved compared to the older games. As you can see, I was kind of cycling through all the different views that you can look from the truck. You can actually just work from inside the cab, or one of my favorite views is from the outside. It's sometimes fun to just kind of mess around with which view you like to drive the truck from, but it's more realistic if you play it from here. As you can see, I'm going through the tutorial. It's very short. I'm probably already halfway through it at this point, but it basically tells you all the basic information. You can pause the game, you can click on the different icons on the GPS system in the lower right hand corner, and all kinds of things that are helpful and useful to know about the game. Now, once I started the game, I was having a bit of difficulty with the controller. Naturally, you think L1 and R1 are the original buttons you would use to accelerate and deaccelerate. It's actually the joystick, but you can change that in the settings, which is what I did. And once I did that, I immediately found out how sensitive the steering is. And then you can see a police car going by there, and I actually experiment later. I was wondering if they have the rules set in like the original games, where you actually have to obey the speed limit. And if you notice in the GPS, in the lower left-hand corner, just above the ETA, it says 30. That is the speed limit. I was actually going to crash into the police car later on in the game just to see what would happen, because I didn't know what to do, because I passed the police car, which apparently was fine, but I went over 30 miles an hour, so he fined me $1,000. And as you can see, we only have $1,500 at the beginning of the game, so you're going to want to be careful and not do anything dumb like that constantly, or you're going to run out of money. As you can see, you can click on the M button and it brings up the overall map. It's later on I find out in this area you can actually find different locations. You can find garages you can buy, you can find trucks. That's one of the big questions I had when I first started the game. It's like, well, I'm currently just an employee working for an employer at this point of the game. How do I buy my own truck? Well, I actually find that out later on. Whenever I open up the map again, you click on the information sign, just like in the other truck games. Instead of just buying a truck and automatically having it, you have to go to a truck dealership. So basically, you're just going to have to do jobs for your employer until you have enough money to buy a truck, and most likely a garage to go along with it. Now, it wasn't very long before I realized I was actually going the wrong direction. That red line on the map does not actually, at least at this point of the game, show where you're supposed to go. I'm actually supposed to go where the little blue 1 was on the map. And this entire time, I'm actually driving in the wrong direction. You can look on the GPS, you can see my ETA is going up, the time is going up, and the miles away from my destination is going up. Here's where I make my big boo-boo. As you can see, there are roadways that are blocked off that you cannot go through. I found that out very early on and I crashed into it. Although those little X's there. Then I was kind of in a predicament here. The light had already changed red, but I went ahead and pulled in front of traffic anyway. Apparently the law system is not too terribly strict, because there was a police car right there, and I kind of just pulled in front of traffic to continue on, which I thought was kind of funny. But it was just a little ways ahead here where I was actually supposed to turn off. Of course, just like in real life, you have to make sure you're doing wide turns with your trucks. Later on down the road, I actually pull into a gas station thinking it's an exit, when it's really just a gas station, kind of a rest stop. Get gas, stop, take a rest, speed up time. But really, the exit I was trying to take is actually further ahead of the gas station. And here's where I mistakenly thought this was an exit. I was actually just looking at the map thinking, well, this looks like an exit. And then I turned into it, it's like, oh, it's a gas station. And that's another thing I found out. It's actually pretty realistic when it comes to the brakes for the semi. As you can see there, I dodged off to the left to avoid hitting that car. And I could have swore I would have had enough time to stop, but I didn't, and I crashed into the gas station price sign. And it was kind of embarrassing, but at least this is just a video game, so nobody is actually paying attention to what is going on, except for you guys who are watching me right now, of course. It takes a little getting used to. The steering was weird. I actually, at this point in the game, I turned over to the keyboard and mouse, because I thought, well, this is really, really sensitive. Maybe I could get used to using the keyboard and mouse. But I think I prefer the controller. That's the great thing about this game. I really love the fact that you can use keyboard and mouse, you could use your controller, you can set up the different buttons and their commands on the controller. Now here, coming up to the left, is the first example of why you have to turn really wide with trucks and use your mirrors, which I'm very glad they added. I got to right here, and then the truck stopped. It's like, why am I not moving? And I looked at this view, it's like, oh, the trailer is a little bit stuck there on the railing. So I backed up the best I could. And I think I took the best approach there. I'm not a truck driver in real life, so you can't criticize me too badly. But up ahead here, you see that cop car. This is when I thought, well, you know what? I wonder if there are laws in this game, because I hadn't been fined or anything yet. I've already crashed half a dozen times, pulled out in front of traffic. And I got the idea, it's like, well, you know what, I think I'm just going to run this stop sign. I'm going to pass this cop car. And then I got to thinking, well, they must have not implemented laws into the game. And then I got worried the cop car actually was slowing down. And I thought, well, he's going to get me now. And he's still doing nothing. So I thought, well, I'm going to get in front of him, stop, and back up into him and see what happens. But before I could do that, you can see I just got a speeding offense. And the cop car turned his siren on. You don't actually have to stop. It's kind of neat that they added that in, where the police car actually turns on his siren to kind of show that he's stopping you. And then at this point, I was trying to figure out, well, you know, it's really hard to maintain a certain speed when you're playing a video game. It's much easier in real life. I was trying to find the cruise control button. Apparently it's the button C on your keyboard, just like it's always been in the older truck games. So thankfully I figured that out. That way you can coast along at the proper speed limit. As you can see, the speed limit actually changed to 55 and I was still going 30. I wasn't paying attention to the speed limit changing, but I mainly was trying to figure out the cruise control. So overall, what rating do I give this game? This game, I give it definitely 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. I know that's a horrible way to rate it. I hate rating games because I like being able to play games in general, and it's just, I hate rating them. I really do. I really like to just play them and give you my opinion and let you guys decide what you think. But just based upon what I've seen, for $19.99, we are getting a game that has been long awaited. It's been so long since we've seen a truck simulator game, and I grew up playing games like this, and I was skeptical at first. I looked at the graphics, it's like they're not that much better, but really they are. Look at the detail on the truck, look at the reflections of the clouds and everything else, the lighting, it's perfect. And it's not even that. I mean, like, it could be a little bit better, but for $20 and what they put into the game, I think it's really worth it. I would not pay more than $20 for this game. I was kind of skeptical about that. I'm like, well, the game came out today, so what if it's going to cost like $50 or $60 like most new games? And I thought, oh, well, crap, I'm not going to pay for it. But then I found out it's only $20, so that's not a bad buy. As you can see, I'm kind of messing with the information button on the map. That's where I found out it tells you all the little important symbols on the map and what they mean. Basically, you can buy your own truck, buy your own garage, and eventually own your own business. I hope you guys like this review. I love the game. A big fan of it. I hope you guys will like it too.